Definitions. Ready? A point has no dimension. So you guys said it's just a dot. It doesn't have any dimension. A line has one dimension. A line has one dimension. And it goes on forever both ways. We talked about that. A segment is a line with two endpoints, is like how I like to think of it. And then a ray, you guys said it has a point at one end, so it has one endpoint. And then it goes forever one way. Or like on one side. Let's get some pictures. A point would literally just be a dot, and we'll label this A. That is point A. And so for notation, we're going to write how we write it. So we call this point A. Pretty simple. For a line, you guys notice it had 2 points. That's not a very good line because it's not straight, but oh well. A, B, and we could call this, I'm going to label it L. So it goes on forever both ways. 2 lines can make a point. Or sorry, 2 points can make a line. Our notation would be either line L, so we can call it by what we labeled it, or we call it AB with this symbol on the top. It's a line symbol. Or it could be called BA. So AB or BA. Segment. It's like a dumbbell. A, B. Segments we label with a little bit different notation. So we write A, B are our 2 points on the segment, but notice that there's not arrows. You could also call this BA. And then the ray still has 2 points, but it goes through the other point and extends. So it's be AB, and we call it ray AB. It cannot be called ray BA because the direction matters. It's going from A to B and going infinitely in that direction, so you have to call it ray AB. Plane is 2D. It goes without end. It's flat. And so an example of what that would look like, I'll do my best. And then, I'll label it in a second. I'm going to zoom in on this. Plane, I'm going to label this plane M and put 3 points on it. A, B, C. So there's 2 names for it. You can either call it plane M, or you could call it plane, and then you can use 3 points. Plane A, B, C. Where a line ends. ends. I like when I said a roadblock. And so we've got segments have endpoints, so do rays. Point A and point B are endpoints, or you could call it, I guess, endpoint A and endpoint B. We got a lot of definitions today. Opposite rays. This is, I don't have a perfect way to describe it. They're opposite to each other. So if C lies between A and B, then CA and CB are opposite rays. When we say between in geometry, it means that the point is on a line in between 2 points. So here's a picture of opposite rays. So we start with just a line. Then we've got A, C, B. CA and CB are opposite rays. Remember, with rays, we draw an arrow pointing in one direction because the other side has an endpoint. So points on the same line. That's all it means. So we've got some collinear points here. C, D, does not look like a D, and E are collinear because they're on the same line, together on a line. So likewise, what does coplanar mean? Anyone want to take a guess?
On the same plane.
On the same plane. Points on the same plane. So I'll draw a plane. I'll try to. Oh. C, D, E. Those are coplanar. And then the last thing, intersection. That's a word that you should be familiar with in the real world. I could ask you where a point and a line cross. But for now, we'll do two lines. These two lines cross at point M. First thing I need you to fix on this is it says give two other names for PQ, and it didn't label it. So PQ is a line, so it should have a double arrow at the top of it. Give two other names for PQ and plane R. Discuss with your partner what are two other names for both. Okay, let's discuss. Maddie, what's another name for PQ, line PQ?
Line N.
Line N, thank you. Sam, do you have one other name for us? Right. Just switch the order. And make sure we put that notation at the top. You have to put the line with the double arrows at the top. Otherwise, we don't know that it's actually a line. Okay, how about plane R? Something I did not say is for plane, when you're choosing points, you want to try and choose points that are not, like you can't have them all be collinear. So you cannot call this plane SPT because they're all on the same line. But what's another name we could have for it? Lucas, what's another name for the plane?
V.
Plane V is a point. You could call it plane VSP, so you have to put 3 points. And then there's one other name we could have for it. Well, multiple, really, but you can include one more point in that. Yeah, Maddie? No? Q, do you see how Q is actually above the plane? So this is hard to envision, so we'll do this tomorrow. That's a line that's been stabbed through a plane. We'll practice that tomorrow. So Q is actually not on the plane. Good thought, though. So plane VSP and plane VPT. Guys, what are they? Thank you. Tell your partner, what are the 4 points that are coplanar? VSPT. They are all on the plane. Fine, so let's fix this. It should say, it have this notation at the top of it. GH, like that. What was it, guys? HG. Name all of the rays with the endpoint J, and J is in the middle here. There are 4. J, G, J, H. Thank you. J, E, and J, F. So J, G, J, H are opposite rays.
Why aren't J, E, and J, F opposite?
They are also opposite rays, but I'm saying them separately, right? Because they're separate pairs. PQ, is PQ a line, a segment, or a ray? It's a line, so let's make it a line. We have to put that notation at the top of it. Name the intersection of PQ and line K. So where do PQ and line K intersect or cross? Alden, where do they cross? Yeah. They cross at point M. So 2 lines cross at what? 2 lines cross at... Okay, name the intersection of a plane. So plane A, which is this flat one here, and plane B. So where do plane A and plane B cross? So yes, they cross at point M, but you're thinking too small. Look at the line. They cross at line K. So I would say it crosses 2 places, right? It crosses at point M would be the smallest thing you could say, but you could also say probably, so it's all the points that they share. They share all of the points on line K.